Legendary filmmaker Quentin Tarantino goes scorched earth on Hollywood, on Marvel, and all of these other woke companies that are running the gamut when it comes to Hollywood and the types of films that we continue to get from them, the types of shows and everything else. And there's a reason for why there is a massive decline in all of these different companies is because of the woke, ridiculous propaganda that they continue to try to force feed to us when we are viewing entertainment. And Tarantino sees through all of it, and he completely puts it all on blast in this epic interview. Quentin Tarantino says Marvel actors aren't movie stars. Captain America is the star, not Chris Evans, which I can only imagine probably hurts Chris Evans' feelings when he hears this type of stuff, because Chris Evans is a very stuck-up, arrogant person who probably thinks way too highly of himself. But Tarantino says movies are so bad today, they don't even exist. This is brutal. Let's get into this and see what he says here. Oscar-winning director Quentin Tarantino does not hide his disgust with the quality of movies today. In his mind, movies today don't even exist. And there's a reason why the quality for these films have continued to decline, and that is because Hollywood is currently putting woke ideology. They're putting ideology and message over story, and whenever you do that, it doesn't matter who you are, whenever you do that, your story is going to suffer because of that. Christian films do the same thing very, very often, like almost all the time, in fact, where they put ideology, they put message over the story, and that is, of course, a massive, massive problem when it comes to even Christian films. Tarantino is on a medium tour to promote his bestseller Cinema Speculation, a memoir/film study that examines the movies he loved and shaped him as a kid. So that's honestly a very, very interesting book, and I highly recommend checking it out. And this is what Quentin Tarantino has to say. Well, by asking questions like, could that movie Blazing Saddles be made today? That's like I don't believe that stuff, because by putting out that hypothetical, you're kind of suggesting that it couldn't be, and then people just kind of assume that they can't be, and then that's what happens. And now you're in the 80s. Even though this seems a hell of a lot worse than the 80s was, yeah, like, the current state of film right now is like not even, it can't even be compared to the 80s. It's so bad. I've been rallying against the 80s movies forever, and now all of a sudden I feel like an asshole. The 80s are pretty good now. Which I think is the way that a lot of us feel when we go and look back at movies, even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when we look back on those films and we're like, man, yeah, you know, it really just shows just how bad the movies are that we are getting today, generally speaking. Tarantino continues. Anyway, the thing about it is, I don't quite believe that you couldn't make some of these movies today, like Blazing Saddles. You just have to have the balls to make them. Yes. I mean, exactly. And of course, there are very few people working in Hollywood who actually have the balls to do things like that. Also, because of the time that we're living in right now, these movies are never more needed than now. Exactly. And it just means the filmmakers, the studios, or whoever the producers are, they have to be adults about it. They have to know what time it is, and that means that if they're going to do their thing and put it out there, then they're going to get some negative reviews, and they're going to get some choice think pieces written about against their movies. Exactly. And we are seeing this happening a lot, where the woke critics are absolutely continuing to try to prop up and simp for and, you know, do all of that type of stuff when it comes to all of the woke nonsense that Hollywood is continuing to put out. But whenever there's a film that comes out or a show comes out, something like Terminal List, you know, on Amazon, a show that is wildly loved by fans and everything else, they just have to hate on it because it doesn't follow the narrative. When asked to say out loud what was better about movies during the Taxi Driver era than now, here was Tarantino's memorable response. Compared to movies now, I don't even have the interest to list all of the ways that Taxi Driver era movies are better than now. Now doesn't even exist. It's like you're asking about Mad Max time before the apocalypse. I know exactly what he's saying when he says movies today don't even exist. They sure don't exist in my house. Which is a very, very epic response coming from Quentin Tarantino when it comes to this. So with all of that being said, let me know what you think about what Quentin Tarantino says in this epic interview. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all in another video very soon.